Estate Planning Awareness Week started yesterday and runs through October 23rd. One of our primary goals at Easton Law and through this podcast really is to educate you on the vital importance not only of preparing an estate plan, but also keeping your plan up to date. So while you almost surely understand the importance of creating an estate plan, you might not know that keeping your plan current is every bit as important as creating a plan to begin with. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Family Wealth and Other Musings. I'm Becky Easton, your host. I'm also a personal family lawyer licensed in Arizona and Colorado. And today we are talking about some of the life events that necessitate an immediate review of your estate plan, because it's not just about starting it and putting it into place. It's not a set it and forget it model, but rather you need to be reviewing it periodically over time and making sure that what you decided on the front end is still making sense now, is still making sense 3 years from now, 5, 10, 20 years from now. Because you are growing and your life is shifting and changing, and your children's lives are shifting and changing and growing. And you want to be able to make the most thoughtful decisions and choices as that time goes on. And the only way to do that is to continually check in on your plan and see how it's doing. So, in fact, outside of not creating an estate plan at all, an outdated estate plan is going to be one of the most common estate planning mistakes that you'll encounter. This happened in my own family. You've heard me talk about it on this podcast before. You'll definitely hear me talk about it more again in the future. But my grandmother had a trust that we all knew about. She talked about. And when the time came, it didn't work at all. At least not as it was intended to. We were fairly lucky, but the planning was largely an unfortunate waste of money for just a set of documents. So, we get called by the loved ones of someone who's become incapacitated or died with a plan that no longer works because it was not properly updated. And unfortunately, once something happens, it's too late to adjust your plan, and the loved ones that you leave behind will be stuck with the mess you've left. Or they could end up in a costly and traumatic court process that can drag out for months or even years. Estate planning is an ongoing process, not a one-and-done type of deal, not set it and forget it. And to ensure that your plan works properly, it should continuously evolve along with your life circumstances and other changing conditions. So regardless of who you are, your life will inevitably change, right? Families change, assets change, laws change, goals change. In the absence of any major life events, we recommend reviewing your estate plan annually. However, there are several common life events that will require you to immediately update your plan. And that is if you want it to actually work and keep your family out of court and out of conflict. So to this end, if any of the following events occur in your life, you want to contact an attorney today. I recommend working with a personal family lawyer and contact them to amend your estate plan as necessary. So first up, anytime you get married, marriage not only changes your relationship status, it changes your legal status. So regardless of whether it's your first marriage or your fourth marriage, you must take proper steps to ensure your estate plan properly reflects your current wishes and needs. After tying the knot, some of your most pressing concerns include naming your new spouse as a beneficiary on your insurance policies and retirement accounts, granting him or her medical power of attorney and durable financial power of attorney, if that's your wish, and adding him or her to your will or trust. Number 2, on the flip side of that coin, anytime you get divorced, Because divorce is such a stressful process, estate planning often gets overshadowed by the other dramatic changes happening. But failing to update your plan for divorce can have terrible consequences. Once divorce proceedings start, you'll need to ensure your future ex is no longer eligible to receive any of your assets or make financial or medical decisions on your behalf, unless, of course, that's your wish that they still have that power. Once the divorce is finalized and your property is divided, you'll need to adjust your estate plan to match your new asset profile and living situation. Number 3, when you give birth or adopt. Welcoming a new addition to your family can be a joyous occasion, but it also demands entirely new levels of planning and responsibility. At the top of your to-do list should be legally naming both long and short-term guardians for your child. Our Kids Protection Plan offers everything that you need to complete this process for free right now. So you can head over to eastonlaw.kidsprotectionplan.com to get started on that for free. And once you've named a guardian, you want to consider putting other estate planning vehicles, such as a revocable living trust, in place for your kids. These planning tools can make certain that the assets you want your child to inherit will be passed on in the most effective and beneficial ways possible for everyone involved. Consult with a qualified attorney to determine which planning strategies are best suited for your family situation. Next up, anytime you have a minor child who reaches the age of majority. As soon as they become legal adults, which is at age 18 or 21, depending on which state you're in, many areas of their life that were once under your control will become entirely their responsibility. And if your kids don't have the proper legal documents in place, you could face costly and traumatic ordeals if something should happen to them. For instance, if your child were to get into a serious car accident and require hospitalization, you no longer have the automatic authority to make decisions about his or her medical treatment or the ability to manage their financial affairs. Without legal documentation, you wouldn't even be able to access your child's medical records or bank accounts without a court order. To prevent your family from going through an expensive and unnecessary court process, speak with your kids about the importance of estate planning and meet with an attorney and them to ensure that they have the proper legal documents in place as they start their journey into adulthood. Next up, we want to be sure that you're updating your estate plan when a loved one dies. The death of a family member, partner, or close friend can have serious consequences for both your life and your estate plan. If the deceased person was included in your plan, you need to update it accordingly and fill any gaps his or her death may have created. From naming new beneficiaries, executors, and guardians, to identifying new heirs to receive assets allocated to the deceased, make sure your plan addresses all voids created by a death in the family as soon as possible. If you get seriously ill or injured, so as with death, illness and injury are an unavoidable part of life. If you've been diagnosed with a serious illness or are involved in a life-changing accident, you may want to review the people you've chosen to handle your medical decisions, as well as how those decisions should be made. The person you want to serve as your healthcare proxy can change with time, so be sure your plan reflects your current wishes. Then, update your estate plan anytime you move to a new state. Estate planning laws can vary widely from state to state, so if you move to a different state, you'll need to review and or revise your plan to ensure that it complies with your new home's legal requirements. And because some estate planning laws are complex, you'll want to meet with a qualified attorney to make sure your plan will still work exactly as you desire in your new location. Again, personal family lawyers can be found in almost every single state now, and so you can find one near you by going to personalfamilylawyer.com. You also want to be sure you're updating your estate plan anytime your assets or liabilities change significantly. Whenever the value of your estate changes dramatically, whether that's an increase or a decrease, or even just the acquisition or sale of assets, you should revisit and update your plan. Whether you inherit a fortune, take out a new loan, retire, sell a home or business, buy a home or business, or change your investment portfolio, your plan should be adjusted accordingly. You also want to update anytime you buy or sell a business. If you plan to sell a business, you can implement estate planning strategies to avoid almost all of your taxes, as long as you contact a good attorney ahead of time. And of course, if you're buying a business, you'll want to ensure your plan is updated to take into account your succession plans for the new venture. For every business that you own, you should consider creating a buy-sell agreement and a business succession plan to protect both your business and your family in case something happens to you. In your plan, you can not only decide who will take over your role as the company's owner should something happen to you, but you can also provide him or her with a detailed roadmap for how the business should be run in your absence with a comprehensive business succession plan. And finally, you want to be sure to update your estate plan anytime the federal estate tax exemption or your state's estate tax exemption changes significantly. Anytime the federal estate tax exemption or your state's estate tax exemption changes dramatically, we recommend that you review your financial assets and your estate plan. Tax laws are constantly changing, so you want to be sure to have a consultation to ensure that you're achieving the maximum tax savings possible and that your investments are still aligned with your strategic goals in light of the latest changes to the tax code. Keeping your estate plan updated is so important that attorneys like I have created proprietary systems designed to ensure that your plan is revisited consistently, so you don't have to worry about overlooking anything, as your family, the law, and your assets are changing over time. So be sure, if you're working with a personal family lawyer, to ask about those systems during your visit. And because your plan is designed to protect and provide for your loved ones in the event of your death or incapacity, your personal family lawyer isn't just here to serve you. They're here to serve your entire family. And over the years, we take time to get to know your family members and include them in the planning process. So everyone affected by your plan is well aware of what your latest planning strategies are and why you made the choices you did, along with knowing exactly what they need to do if something happens to you. And if you are the parent of minor children, we'll put safeguards in place to ensure that your kids are never placed into the care of strangers, even temporarily. So I want to thank you guys again for tuning in. This has been an episode of Family Wealth and Other Musings. I am your host, Becky Easton. And as a reminder, this is meant to be seen as general legal information, not specific legal advice for you, because I don't know your specific situation. So I always encourage you to reach out to a qualified attorney anytime you have questions or something that I've said here perks your ears up. And I always recommend working with a personal family lawyer. Not only am I certified as one, but there are so many across the nation who can help you. And as a personal family lawyer, estate planning services go far beyond simply creating documents and then never seeing you again. So in fact, we want to develop that relationship with you and your family that lasts not only for your lifetime, but for the lifetime of your children and their children, if that's your wish. So unlike traditional estate plans, a life and legacy plan is designed to grow and change with you. As your personal family lawyer, we make that possible. We're not just a one-time document creator. We're looking to be your trusted lifelong counsel and guide who works with you to ensure your family stays out of court and out of conflict and grows even closer as a result of the legacy you're creating. Ultimately, we've discovered that estate planning is about far more than planning for your death and passing on your estate to your loved ones. It's really about planning for a life that you love and a legacy worth leaving by the choices that you make today. So again, This has been Family Wealth and Other Musings. I'm your host, Becky Easton. Thank you again for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful day. We will talk to you tomorrow.